So I think we can go to the chat right here. Show live chat message. Okay, it's about right. Show live chat for sure. You should go to your YouTube and then. See, perfect. My battery's gonna die though.
No, you'll be fine. Okay. Yeah, so there was a licensing board meeting in the East Lansing a couple days ago, and they were going over the recommendations out of these work groups. You know, there was work groups that were created. Each work group got like approximately like 20 people to the group.
What, that one lawyer guy was in one of the groups?
Yeah, there's a bunch of different lawyers. There's a whole huge as far as people in it, you know, there's probably about 100 people, you know, 20 to each group or whatever, and they go over everyone, you know, ask questions and give comments and suggest things. Well, anyways, some of the recommendations that came out of there were a little asinine. One of the ones that stood out the most for me was a maximum THC of 6% in a topical cream.
Oh, what?
Yeah, and one of the board members, he stated how all elements of cannabis are psychoactive. So, you know, there's clear biased and uneducated views.
Yeah, for him to say all cannabinoids have a psychoactivity,
it's completely false.
Yeah.
You know, last that I knew, you couldn't just you know, eat some black pepper and get high off it. You know, there's terpenes and all kinds of different herbs and spices and, you know, whatever. There's terpenes, cannabinoids that are non-psychoactive. So he stated something right there, you know, and the whole, I don't get why there would be a 6% for a topical. I have no clue. And then there was other things that came out as far as some of the other recommendations were all right. As far as being able to, how much you know, each patient or each person will be able to buy at one of these dispensaries, which they said 2.5 ounces a day. Legally, they couldn't go against
for a patient.
Yeah, legally they couldn't go against the MMMA.
What about out-of-state patients? Do they recognize them? And you know, how much can they buy a day?
I don't think so. Once recreational comes, if you're not, I'm assuming if you're not a Michigan resident, you only can buy a certain amount because the MMMA doesn't pertain to you, doesn't apply to you.
It just sucks that I had to go about this way. You know what I mean? If I get a cold in Texas and get prescribed fucking some kind of cold medicine from a doctor, but I go on vacation to Michigan, I still be able to pick up my prescription at fucking Walgreens.
You know, there's people dying every day because of this. Because there's prohibition that still exists. Now there's 2 petition efforts currently circulating statewide. One is to regulate and tax, more or less, and then the other one is more or less no regulations and no taxes.
So what's this one that was on the news like yesterday? 120 acres, gonna bring 1,000 jobs.
Yeah.
But they're already approved and ready to go?
They got municipal approval. It's outside of Lansing, I want to say.
But they don't have their license or anything like that yet, and they still could be shot down.
Well, they're not. It's a project that got approved.
Yeah.
They're not operating.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, they're already investing money right now, guaranteed.
Oh, yeah, they'll get licensed.
Yeah, they'll get licensed, but there is a chance that they couldn't.
Well, there's a bunch of different requirements that came out, and one of them is your capital. Now, on the capital, it's a pretty high amount of capital. There is some play. Some people can play, some people can't. I believe on the Class A, capital should be reduced
How much
to
is it?
well below 100,000. It's 150,000 just for a Class A. So
And
for,
that's
for a
500
500 plant, but you have to realize what happened. Okay, that person that wants to get this 500 plant license but only grow 100 plants, he's a caregiver transitioning into this, right? He's only growing 100 plants under the 500 plant license, and he's gradually working himself up to the 500 plant cultivation, and then acquiring a Class B and so forth, Class C, So, there has to be a better transition for these business entrepreneurs and for these caregivers to be able to get into this legal framework. They talk about not wanting to fuel a black market and, always trying to prevent people going down in the black market. Well, I believe that this could ultimately drive people towards the black market. If you're going to ultimately just one day not give an option for these caregivers to transition into, I mean, you have these 72 plant growers, give them more of a easier option to be able to transition into this licensed legal framework, or else you'll see a black market still thriving. So that's part of it, the capital, and then there's all kinds of, stipulations and requirements to be able to even be considered for the licensing. Like the great Winston Churchill said before, when you destroy a free market, you create the black market.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the thing is, we just got to keep going at it. There's a lot of changes going on right now. Pretty much for a cultivation and a processing.
Nice. So look you see how it shows our chat right there on the phone?
Yeah. So pretty much for a cultivation and a processing, you can have it at the same place. Cultivation, processing, and a provision center at the same place. To be able to have a processing cultivation, you would need $450,000 in capital. But they make it a little bit too rigorous, is what I'm trying to get at. They should make it more of a easier transition for these caregivers. What else?
Like the guys that I was talking to, they got their business plan so far detailed. You know what I mean? Like they already got it down to what type of workers they need, whatever else.
There's people that are really far ahead, and then there's people that are trying to transition into this and reach out and network. The best thing right now is, contact the right attorney, contact the right accountant, because there's a lot of people, a lot of things to deal with. Somebody that can, that's professional working with just business plans or just hold on, I gotta take a break. I'll be back here in a minute.
I gotta charge this phone too. Put it on a charger.
I think so. I'm not sure.
Okay. All right, we're back. So yeah, the things are, you know, everything's not set in stone right now. These were, you got to remember, these were just recommendations from work groups, okay?
Oh, it's not set in stone that
no,
like how much it's going to be.
No, it's not.
500,000
All right,
for
but
Class C.
these work groups have a lot to say, okay? You got to realize who are in these work groups too. There's certain attorneys, there's certain lobbyists, there's certain other interests, there's certain other people that are in this. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. There might even be prohibitionists in the work groups.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, anyways, so they influence a lot of these recommendations. Well, guess what? Michiganders are stubborn as shit, like I said before. And if you watch that video, you'll be like, holy shit. These people in the crowd, these testimony, these, you know, the public comment, because each of them, you know, if you sign a card and go up there, you can get public comment for a minute.
Yeah. Directly
ask the board questions or have comments, right? They tore their ass. The sheriff, the retired, not sheriff, he was a sergeant, retired sergeant from Traverse City, Don Bailey, one of the board members, one of the members in the crowd, he had a subpoena. He subpoenaed him to court on assault charges or something. They're charging him for some, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so right there in court, they subpoenaed one of the board members. Like I said, there's a lot of hostility. There's a lot of conflictive interest and a lot of shit that's going on right now. And I don't care if you're a cannabis user or a non-cannabis user. You should be informed with this. You should be involved with this and, you know, and knowledgeable when it comes to it. Because, I mean, you got to remember, this is a licensing board appointed by our current governor who already put the jeopardy in lives and health of certain residents in the state of Michigan in jeopardy, you know, and at risk. He's already affected this state in a negative way, and this is a board that was appointed by him. So let's remember that. Bottom line is, patients and caregivers, we don't trust that board. The people of Michigan don't trust that board right now. Okay? There's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of shit going on. A lot of lobbying. They're trying to, you know, make it, you know, more or less where it's set up to empower these monopolies. And the thing is, you know, yeah, it's cool to have some big businesses and have some, you know, a lot of jobs created and this and that. But when you're talking monopolists doing it, when you're talking monopolies doing it, okay, there's state monopolies. There's monopolies like the utilities, and there's monopolies like our railroads and the iron and steel industry. These are monopolies that you can't come in that industry and do nothing, period. If that you know, this could, you know, if that happens where somehow Big Pharma gets a hold of it, we're just worried. And so there's a couple more. I think there's actually only maybe even one more board meeting, but they're having these like educational training sessions going on throughout the month of November. So we'll see what comes out in the next, you know, next month or two. There's going to be a lot of change, a lot of different shit. Like I said, them are just recommendations. They're not set in stone. And I hope a lot of those things are not set in stone because, like I said, why put barriers and all these restrictions and requirements and all this stuff on this market? Why not have more of a free and open market to actually be able to, okay, any person that actually wants to be a part of this can be a part of it. If you can show that you could run a business, you know, a liquor store, you know how much they have to show in capital? $50,000 to run a liquor store. So what makes you think that a dispensary is 6 times, they have to come up with 6 more times than open up a liquor store?
Is that the same as dispensary? How much you have to have?
$300,000.
Oh, you have to have $300,000.
Yeah, $300,000. Yeah, and then a processor's $300,000.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
That's, well, yeah. Well, on the cultivation, it's 150 just Class A, the Class B is 300, and then the Class C is 500. So to be able to get one of those 1,500 ones, you need to have 500,000 capital. So come on, you'll never compete in that type of market. They need to tighten it up. They need to make it a little bit more competitive, a little bit more of a open market for these business entrepreneurs and people looking to get into this industry. When you're dealing with a monopolized market, now monopolies, they will sell any type of product that's actually selling. Okay, there's no new innovations, or there's no lowering the price. There's no competition. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what So we don't want to lead up to that. I don't know what the hell that was.
It sounded like shit, whatever it was.
We don't want to lead up to that, and we have to stop it by all means necessary. But yeah. Another thing they're trying to do is kind of keep these dispensaries open. These bills. They're in the legislators' hands right now, where they're trying to figure out to keep them open. They were trying really hard to shut them down. There was a lot of vocal support. I've even seen actually township supervisors, elected officials going there and standing up and talking in support of these dispensaries, and then I've seen the people of different organizations and foundations going up there, like the one lady of Epilepsy Foundation. She went up there, stating how epilepsy is a very serious condition, and patients that go without
the main thing is this, though,
medicine
dude. The trap house is over, and being able to sell poison and trash is over.
Mm-hmm.
And
exactly,
500,000, 150,000, 300,000. That's not a lot of money. Mm-hmm. When you make a product that is superior, you know what I mean. So you're gonna be making up different business ideas and plans or whatever that are gonna be showing projected profits that are outrageous. So if you show you have the knowledge and the skill to do it and the business plan to do it, the money's there.
Yeah, the money's gonna be there. That's the thing, but you have to understand though is you got to put some caps and there has to be some other things tied to this. Right now it's fucking asinine. Any corporation, I want to say across the world, I haven't heard anything of out of country investors coming to this state, but I know anyone in the States can come to this state right now, and if they meet the requirements, and there's a checklist right now.
Yeah.
They put out a checklist of all the things that you'll need. This and that. It's very very strenuous. There's all kinds of shit in it.
Yeah.
All the way down to fucking disposal plan.
I don't care who is able to
security
come over
plan,
and do
everything.
I don't care who is able to come over and grow, at all. Okay, all I want is it to be able to be rigorous, not too much rigorous, but a good amount of testing, of a protocol of.
Oh, the testing's going to be there.
If they're making a good product or not.
Yeah, no,
I want to know pesticide residuals. I want to know ppms of butane or whatever else if they're making butane hash. I want to know mold count spores or whatever. I want to know it all.
Yeah, well, that's part of the process. They put that in there.
Well, that's my biggest thing that scares me is like, okay, how much are they letting these big corporations, how much mold are they letting them have? What type of pesticides are they letting them use? Well, that's what my main concern is. Yeah. I don't give a fuck if a multi-billion-dollar company is able to come in and monopolize.
What Michigan's doing
I want to know what their regulations are.
Yeah, what Michigan's doing right now, it's nothing like any other states ever did. Okay.
Well, of course.
They are trying to absolutely create a market that's going to surpass most states combined. Okay. We already have 250,000 patients here. All right, we have approximately 250,000 patients, right? They've been building for this, and they've been waiting for it, and be able to get the right guys in there with the right money first, and be able to create their own little monopolies and stuff, and once it actually hits the fan, they're actually seeing some money and shit. They're like, okay, it's cool. We could switch over to recreational now. And that's when shit hits the fan.
Yeah, well, I heard a guy talking today that I don't think recreational is going to happen for another 4 or 5 years.
Nah.
Well, not saying like that it couldn't happen, but I don't think majority of people don't want it to happen because these new medical laws coming out that they don't want to have to, within 1 year, jump through all kinds of different laws again. But in Colorado, that's how it was in Colorado. Like, they had medical, and then all of a sudden, like the next year, they had recreational. So these different medical businesses had a recreational shop and a medical shop.
The same shit that they've been doing over in Oregon, because Oregon had the same type of shit we had, where like they had a medical program for a little while there, and then the same type of shit that they're doing, even the shit that they're saying out of their mouths, is exactly what Oregon was saying and doing before they went rec. Okay? This state is going recreational. All right? Once the state's making money out of it, how are they going to make more money out of it? The only way you're going to make more money off it is going recreational. You think, come on. They just got to wait until, like I said, things got to pan out. It's, it's really tough around here because there's a lot of prohibitionists in this state. I've heard there's upwards of 1,300 prohibitionists. And they have a lot of money. And they lobby the shit out of, a lot of people. But we're getting somewhere. At least we got, day by day. The thing is, they should have came out with these rules and all these stipulations and requirements and all this shit months. I'm talking months ago. 6 months ago, they should have. We're talking developers, all these business entrepreneurs, professional people, and this licensing is going into play December 15th. You're dealing with patients' lives. You're dealing with the health and well-being of the communities and stuff. And right now, I don't see access for like certain parts of the state for quite some time. Most municipalities, they don't even know what to think of it. They're just like, oh, they don't even want anything to do with it. They're not addressing it. They're opting out. They're throwing moratoriums on it. We're putting 90 days on it, 6 months, whatever. I've seen it where they just don't want to say anything about it. Oh, we've addressed it before. We addressed it back in 2008 with the MMMA. Well, this isn't the MMMA. What do you mean you addressed it? You know what I'm saying? Like, address this new licensing bill that was signed and enacted by our governor and representatives. Address this in your community that voted for the MMMA.
Peace.